it's hard to argue NFL is worth more than every other sport almost combined. Everything else is a distant second. So clearly they're doing something right with the quality of the product they're putting on the field and, having to overcome a lot of other issues that they have, like, brain issues. So maybe baseball and some other sports can learn from it. But
are you saying if there were more severe head trauma in baseball, that would benefit the sport?
That was the takeaway. I was hoping that'd be honest.
Everybody, welcome to episode 398 of Beyond the Exchange, where you are here with Brian King, the Grand Exalted CEO of Lodas Markets.
That's right. And then we also have a guest with us today.
We do? Who?
We do. Today's guest is a passionate surfer. He's also a diehard Dodger fan. And on the side, he also happens to be the president of Cantor Fitzgerald Asset Management. I'm excited to welcome my friend and serial industry conference sidekick, Jay Frank, to Beyond the Exchange. Jay, it's great to have you with us, buddy.
My pleasure. Friend by choice, industry sidekick, not so much. But someone's got to do it.
We do have quite the industry circuit that we do.
Yeah, we do.
So, Jay, quick question for you. Did you just become a Dodgers fan this year? Be honest.
Of course not. Of course not. But I will say, and I don't know when this podcast goes live, but now that the Super Bowl is behind us, baseball season has officially begun. So I've been a pretty big diehard Dodger fan for a while. I'm kind of married into it. And, I'm also a diehard Chargers fan. So it's not all gravy for me. So I feel like I've been from both sides of the world. I understand both sides. Not everybody can be Chiefs fans.
Yeah. So who are you a fan of before the Dodgers?
You're getting into some sensitive topics, and my buddies, if they ever watch this will add to it. But I grew up in San Diego, so watched the Padres. Watched the Padres growing up. Went to 7 or 8 games a year with my 2 brothers and my dad, and have a lot. Keeping score, bringing the glove, the whole deal, getting balls signed. Pregame, and so did that, and then watching the Padres just fall into the trap of somehow San Diego's a small market team.
Yeah.
7th largest city, 8th largest city, but somehow they're a small. I get the Royals, who actually been awesome lately, but somehow they're a small market team, and they usually show up accordingly. Watching the city not building the stadium and all that, then they build the stadium finally. Then they put a winning product on the field. Then the divorce happens. Can't invest in the team, and all of a sudden you look at the lineup to start the year, and you don't recognize a single name. AJ Gonzalez to the Dodgers, Jake Peavy to the Yankees. Everyone's gone. And so I'm as one of those guys that hates baseball because of no salary cap. And then meet my wife, and we just celebrated our 15-year wedding anniversary. Meet her in college. Fit Dodger family, LA, and I just calculated I've now been a Dodger fan longer than over 20 years, longer than I've been a Padres. So as you can imagine, this is I am a real sports fan, so I understand what I'm saying right now. Understand what I'm saying right now. So,
When you convert from like the Padres to the Dodgers, is it similar to like converting religions for your wife? Do you have to go through a ceremony? Do you have to break it to your family? Like, how does that work out?
My family was the tough one because they're still pretty loyal. We all went to these games. But my dad's from Wisconsin, big Packers fan, will always be. So he understands that different teams, and the family, so that's worked out. And, they like to follow, everyone likes to follow the Dodgers. You kind of have to follow Dodgers to follow baseball. So with my wife, it's been more of an exercise for her to like bite her lip and not say like, I told you so, or like, I'm the reason, not take credit, not rub in that I came from the Padres. So that's been more of that. But if anyone wants to start talking baseball, they'll quickly know that I'm pretty good at memorizing stats and numbers, and this is not a faking thing.
Yeah, I think I shared with you before that I grew up a Braves fan, but because I grew up in Florida, but my dad was a Dodgers fan, Brooklyn Dodgers fan. So I have a similar connection though, in the sense that when I moved to Kansas City, I was now a Royals fan. but I was a part of a company that was the lead sponsor for the Royals back when we were trash. And then you see them become a pretty good team, and then we win the World Series.
Yep.
And it was easy to become a Royals fan. So I at least have a NL-AL team.
Yeah, not double NL West. I was going to punch that out.
Yeah.
Well, my interesting sports story, since we're trading these apparently, is I was born and raised in Cleveland. So I experienced 0 championships. My 62-year-old father, before he died about 17 years ago, also experienced 0 championships. But since I moved to Kansas City 11 years ago, Sporting KC, the soccer team, has won 1 championship. The Royals have been to 2 World Series and won 1 of them. And the Chiefs have been to 5 Super Bowls and won 3. Yeah, so I adopted right. It's like you adopt someone who becomes a billionaire, and it works out well.
Yeah, no, you guys have had a good run there.
We are in a bit of mourning right now, though, because depending on when you're watching this, yesterday was the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, Chiefs lost.
Now, Jay, I think you have some connection possibly to the Chiefs. I looked and I saw you were a graduate of Francis Parker School.
That's right.
And were you the same graduating class as Alex Smith?
So that's funny you bring that up. So Francis Parker's a little prep school in San Diego, kind of right by USD. University of San Diego, as anyone knows the area, like Linda Vista. And I played football. I don't know if you figured that out, but I played wide receiver and a little bit of defensive end. And we were D4, like 400 kids in the high school. So like, this is not real football. But we would do passing league in the summer, and we would play all the real schools. And I remember we played Helix, which is where Alex Smith was the quarterback. And his running back was a little guy named Reggie Bush.
No,
So
no kidding.
I
did not realize they played together.
I can't imagine trying to tackle Reggie because you couldn't even touch his flags. So like you couldn't even put your hands on him. It was like, where'd he go? Where did who go? So we played against them in passing league. But yeah, so I think I might have been. I was a couple years older than Reggie. I don't remember how old Alex Smith was.
Gotcha. I think he graduated in 2002.
No, okay. So yeah, same age. Yeah, so we're both 40.
And then you went on to UC Santa Barbara, which I did also learn, and recently, it's like the world's best college for surfing. Because like it's literally on the beach, right?
It's on the beach. There's a break to the north, a break to the south called Campus Point Devereaux, but the water's chilly in all of California. But the further you get north, it gets colder. And, Santa Barbara goes north or south, depending on where you're talking about. A lot more Bay Area sports than Southern. But water temperature is also something it shares with the north. It's cold. But yeah, UCSB, really good time. Told you I met my wife there. Since we're on a podcast, Rome is burning. Jim Rome.
Yes.
UCSB alum.
Okay.
Do you remember when Jim Everett almost beat the out of him on his podcast? You can bleep that. He kept calling him Chris Everett, and Jim Everett did not like that.
Nice on that. My God.
Not to spend too much time on sports though, but talking about salary caps and things like that. Just the fact that the Dodgers have a $700 million player, and I think the Royals' total salary cap is $100 million.
I just got a message from buddies on the little group thread that the MLB owners are strongly considering a salary cap for 2026 and beyond. So I'm not against it. I mean, you look at NFL and you look at the parity for the most part. Now, the Patriots are an exception. The Chiefs are an exception, but they've had to do it, with the same budget and restraints, And so I do like that parity, even being in the market I'm in. And I think, it's hard to argue NFL is worth more than every other sport almost combined. Everything else is a distant second. So clearly they're doing something right with the quality of the product they're putting on the field, and having to overcome a lot of other issues that they have, like brain issues. So maybe baseball and some other sports can learn from it. But look, the
Are you saying if there were more severe head trauma in baseball, that would benefit the sport?
that was the takeaway. I was hoping that'd be honest.
Okay.
You would have asked. Yeah, exactly. Look, the penalties for going over the soft cap, because there is a cap. It's not like okay, but the penalties going on after, and there's tier 1, tier 2, 3. They are expensive, and they go back to the other owners. And if you look, I saw a great post the other day that talked about the richest owners in baseball. The Dodgers are not number 1. They're not middle of the pack. They're top 10, but there's 4 or 5 teams. The richest owner in baseball is SAC. Stephen A. Cohen owns the Mets. Rubenstein in Baltimore. There's some really rich owners, and you look at the percentage of revenue the team makes to what they're investing in the team. The Dodgers are not in the top 5. There's a lot of
that's surprising.
Interesting.
So there's a lot, and I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. There's a lot of teams who are generating that are not investing the same percentage of the revenue they make back into their team. And so really people should be getting angry at their ownership team.
Right, for not reinvesting.
Yeah. And I'm not sure it's the Royals we're talking about here, but it's some of these other clubs that are not reinvesting. But yeah, what the A's are doing, where they're just taking the royalty checks from being under budget to keep a profitable business, but giving their fans an inferior product. Something's wrong with that. I don't know how you address it. But the Dodgers are playing within the rules, and they're putting a great product together for their fan base, and they seem to be making all the right decisions.
Yeah. So it seems like the way you address it is moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah. Have you heard all the conspiracy with this whole Luka and Anthony Davis trade, Mavs and the Lakers? Like the conspiracy theory is that the Alden or whatever, the casino family that now owns them, they're trying to get a crappy product to then be able to move to Vegas.
That's right.
Or there's other rumors that like everybody wanted a European superstar in LA, a big market team, to get the European market the way the Dodgers of baseball are getting the Asian market, Japanese market specifically, Korean market even a little bit. And what that's doing to baseball, going international. How's NBA go more international? Kobe was a big international star. Jordan was kind of the original, that dream team.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of the first. Yao Ming was a big deal. So how do you? So anyway, get Luka to LA so that all NBA franchises are worth more, and the owners were all in this together. I don't know.
Now, are you a Lakers fan?
Yeah. So Lakers.
Well,
Which,
congratulations.
by the way, if you grow up in San Diego at my age,
Shouldn't you be a Clippers fan?
if you grow up in San Diego at my age, everyone's a Lakers fan. I've never met a Clippers fan. I want to say the Clippers left San Diego in like '84. So that was, I was just being born. So everyone's that when you have the choice of the winner, you start with the winner. If I was a Clippers fan, that would be unfair. That would just to myself.
So actually, I was curious. So you today are the president, Cantor Fitzgerald Asset Management. What did little Jay want to do when he grew up?
Like everyone's path, you have people that helped you along the way. I don't think too many people do it themselves. And obviously with my parents and education, get to college, and the deal was go to a college school, we'll pay for it. Anything beyond that, feel free, but you pay the delta. So all 3 kids went to great California schools and came out of college debt free, right? So that is a huge advantage for so many people. Yeah. And, I had done some things in sales. My dad had kind of come up the sales route and got into like electronic power supplies and converters and ended up running a couple companies. But I had that sales, DNA, if you can't tell. And so I want to do that, but I didn't know what I wanted to get into. So I graduated college, and my wife at the time was my girlfriend. Her parents were really good friends with a wholesaler. They worked for a real estate company, and he was looking for an inside sales guy. And they said, talk to this guy, and his name was Richard Zimmerman, who lives in LA, still a great person, and kind of gave me that first opportunity. Michael Schwartz, another USC guy, hired me as an internal. I'm licensed out of college. And like, I don't know about you guys, but like this whole thing that like investment products were sold by like wholesalers, that was something that I didn't understand. Like, what do you mean these things aren't just bought, And so anyway, now I understand there's this massive, multi-$100 billion machine. And I get it now because I'm behind one of them. But so I came up on the inside sales side, and not a lot of people take that route, the internal to external to sales management, and then move to business. Most people that get here come up through, associate analyst, MD, whatever, running deals, running products, depending on what asset class we're talking about. And so I've had an interesting career, given that it was a sales path, that became more of a COO operational type role, that then became the president of the business. And I ultimately report to a guy named Bill Ferry, who's the global head of asset management for Cantor, who has an interesting path on his own. But yeah, I've been at Cantor as my 10th year now with the firm. And done some different things in different roles over that period of time.
Now, do you have an office based in LA? Like, do you have a team that's all out there?
The most of our business, again, asset management's like 100, 110 people inside of Cantor and affiliates, which is like 12,500. So we're like, if you remember that, since we're telling old stories, remember that movie Biodome?
With Pauly Shore.
I want to say I had an appendectomy in middle school, and my friend brought me that movie, like DVD or VHS, old school, watching that in the hospital. So I'll never forget. But we're like this little biodome, inside of the bigger world, and we get to control our own destiny. Is kind of how we think of it. We have a lot of fun with that. We create our own culture, our own natural vegetation that feeds everybody. Wow. Anyway, so that business, our core business, is primarily in New York, and the headquarters is a big presence in Orange County, and a big presence in Dallas. And then a lot of people remote throughout the country. Cantor and affiliates have like 5 offices in LA. I'll go to a couple of them periodically, but there's nothing dedicated to our business. So I'm on the road a lot. I've been on the road 4 straight weeks. But yeah, I spent at least a week a month in New York at the headquarters.
Yeah. What's interesting, going back to conspiracy theories, Cantor has offices in Dallas and Southern California. That's the trade between the Lakers. And is Cantor Fitzgerald the puppet master behind the Lakers-Dallas Mavericks trade? We'll let our audience decide. Vote and subscribe.
Might have to ask the new Commerce Secretary.
It is funny. So I would say there's 2 things right now that Cantor Fitzgerald is incredibly known for, and one of them, unfortunately, is its connection to 9/11. I had so many people that I knew that lived through that experience, one way or the other. And it was just such a traumatic thing. But I think one of the best things I've ever heard that came from that was how Howard Lutnick took care of the families. Like, that was moving. That was moving to me. So if you haven't heard that story, it's worth listening to. I've heard him tell it in a recent podcast that he was in. It's amazing. Just maybe take a second to talk about the culture and what he sets up there.
I mean, look, 80 years. The firm goes back to 45, World War II, 80 years. How many financial services have been around for 80 years? Not that many. How many of them are still private? Not many. So Cantor's now the largest private partnership after Goldman went public however many years ago that was. And how many 80-year-old firms have only had 2 people at the helm? So Bernie Cantor founded the firm, gave it over to Howard in the 90s. Howard started here in 83 out of college, Haverford. So he's been here 40 years. And he's only 63 and a half, turning 64 this summer. So he was going to have another 30 years probably in front of him until he's taken on a new role to help the people and help the country, which a role I think he's going to be great at. So I think the succession is something that's front and center, and it hasn't been announced yet. So I don't want to speculate on that because I want to keep my job. So I won't go there. I like my job usually. But anyway, it is an impressive story. And when it comes to the culture, Howard has sales and product and business in his background. It was actually discussed on the Senate floor at his confirmation hearings where J.D. Vance was like introducing him as a sales and a product guy, which is really interesting because that is how I think of myself. But the culture of Cantor, because of that, have both of those in it. And then he's a workaholic. And so there's that part of the culture here, and that can be positive for fellow workaholics and negative for everybody else. So it's not the easiest place, but there is definitely meritocracy. And if you work hard here, you build a reputation and you win. Howard has a thing. There's only 2 types of people in this, and this is really about salespeople, but you could say it for anyone. there's all in business. There's A's and there's NA. There's no B's and C's. You're either an A or you're not applicable. You're out. And so when I got here and he's like, all right, I want you guys to build a team and do all this fun stuff together, he said, only bring A's to Cantor. Because if you bring an NA, then you're gone. He said, A's multiply and A's multiply. So if you bring an NA and it starts multiplying, that's a problem. So that's kind of the culture. I think that's some of that very positive. But Howard has a lot of respect for the people who have come before him. I don't know if you can see that little thinker statue over there near the bat.
Yep.
In the books. But Bernie Cantor, the original, he was the largest collector of Rodin, Auguste Rodin, who did the Thinker and the Gates of Hell and the Burglars of Calais, and died less than 100 years ago, and has became very famous and valuable stuff after he died. But Bernie was the largest private collector of Auguste Rodin's work outside of Auguste Rodin.
Yeah.
And tied back to 9/11, Brian, Cantor had the top 5 floors of the North Tower that went down. And the museum in the Skok, it was in the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest, tallest museum in the world, was his collection, a lot of his private collection, that all was destroyed. And one piece that survived was the Hand of God from the Hand of God statue, which is on Howard's desk to this day. So when you walk in Howard's office, you see some of the Rodin work. But if you guys are ever in Paris, I think the Louvre has a bunch of Rodin.
Yep, it does.
See, if you go to Mexico City, it's a beautiful, awesome museum. Top floor is all Rodin. Next time you're up in the Bay Area, go up more like tech area. But in Palo Alto, go to Stanford's campus, and there's the Bernie Cantor, Bernie and Iris, his wife, Bernie and Iris Rodin sculpture garden. I think that's what it's called. There's an indoor and an outdoor, but there's an outdoor beautiful area worth of especially your kids, really neat family visit.
How many pieces of art did Rodin make?
A lot, but a lot of it was in bronze. There's a lot of bronze casts that have been reached. So there's thinkers everywhere. But yeah, to go through what Howard personally and the firm went through, and then you could just shut it all down, Brian. Instead, he committed to rebuilding the company, which is the only way he could take care of the victims, and he did that. And he's celebrated for that, and I think he's earned that, and it continues to this day. Maybe not directly to the families, but every year we all donate our pay on September 11th through that closest business day, and then we have all these incredible celebrities, models and politicians and actors and athletes and everything, and they all come through our trading desk here downtown, midtown, downtown, and our London offices, and they take the trays, and everybody trades with Cantor on that day, and all the revenues we make go to charities. And so, I don't know, maybe we've already donated money for the fire victims in LA on this one. I remember Hurricane Helene, Harvey. Was Harvey Houston? The Puerto Rico one that really did. Yep. Yeah. The Sandy, was it Sandy that did Jersey and New York?
Yep.
Yeah. So they'll pick a big cause like that every year, and then they'll do money to each of the charities that each celebrity represents. So celebrities are raising money for their charities and other good causes. And to hear Howard talk about it, it's like, how do you take the worst day that could ever, for him at least, but arguably for one of the worst days in American history, how do you take the worst day ever and somehow find that silver lining each year and turn it into a really neat day where you're doing all these great things? And on that day, everyone you forget some of the darkness, and it's all about good, to hide and mask what everybody went through. And he lost his brother and stuff. So anyway, it is part of our culture. Obviously, I wasn't here then. I've been here 10 years, but you inherit it, and that's certainly part of the culture that we inherit. What's neat is we have an opportunity zone business as part of our private markets platform, and we when that OZ thing came out as part of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which is now being discussed for an extension for 2025 through reconciliation and whatnot, but we wanted to be active in the OZ program, and we needed a development partner because we don't do that at Cantor. And so we met Silverstein. We were introduced to Silverstein Properties, who Howard and the firm knew very well. Actually, Michael Lehrman was really close with their CEO at the time. And we ended up partnering with them. But Silverstein was the firm who bought the Twin Towers 6 weeks before 9/11.
What? I don't think I knew that.
Wow.
So Larry Silverstein, who's like 92 or 93 today, still there every day, suit and tie. And he led the rebuilding effort, the Freedom Tower, all the buildings around it that make up the World Trade Center. And he floated the property tax and the interest and the insurance for like 7 years, waiting for everything in the courts. So I'll quote a number, but it could be totally wrong, but say $10 million a month, writing a personal check for 7 years, waiting for the proceeds to come from the insurance. Because of all the law.
That would have tapped me out after 4 years.
Try about 4 minutes. So if you convert 10 million to 4 minutes. So anyway,
Wow, that's amazing.
You opened up Pandora's box there, Brian, but there's some neat tie-ins in a lot of areas. And this firm continues to do neat things around that today.
Yeah, and then you already alluded to the other thing. So first of all, I think it's amazing what the company's done. I just love that story, taking such a negative time in U.S. history and being able to make something amazing from it and taking care of families. But and then the other piece that you kind of alluded to was Howard Lutnick's role in politically now, which sounds like it's setting you up for your own political career. No, I just.
Are you announcing Jay running for president in 2028?
I am not, but I'll let Jay talk about his own political ambitions.
Yeah, like I got to get to where Howard is first. Like Howard said on the Senate floor, I've made enough money in my career. It's time for me to give back. I have not made enough money in my career, so I could give back, but not by going full public servant at this time. So yeah, I got a little work to do to catch up to Howard. That's for sure. But so he has done his interview on the floor or whatever. And he has, I believe the committee voted to move to a vote on the floor. And I don't think they've selected a date for that vote. By the time people are listening to this, my guess is he'll have been confirmed. But I thought I was hearing that as early as, mid-February before Valentine's Day kind of time frame. But obviously that's not done until it's done. But I think he's one of the least controversial figures to go in front of the Senate this year.
Yeah. There were a couple of controversial ones for sure.
Yeah, Howard's an honest, really honest man, family man, very loyal to his wife, long-term, same wife, great dad, cares a lot about it. Hardcore business guy, for sure.
Right.
Hard charger, runs hard and expects that of everyone else. But I think he's a guy that could work in any administration and do great things. But again, back to commerce. Last I checked, trading NBA players, that sounds like commerce to me. So we just we need to make LA sports great again,
I love it.
Yeah, it suffered for so long. Poor LA.
It's always been like life is too
3 years since the Super Bowl.
Life's too short not to be fans of winning teams. I recommend everyone give it a try. This whole Cleveland thing. I mean, at least you never expected to have a winner. Like for a second, we got Deshaun Watson, and then it didn't take long. You're like, no, that is gone.
Yeah. No, yeah. And that's the thing. Even I was easily able to adopt the Kansas City teams because I never accepted the Cleveland teams. I saw all the misery that was going on around me as I was growing up. And I said, I don't want any part of this. And so I never really imprinted on any of the Cleveland teams.
Yeah, we had Marty Schottenheimer for a little while in San Diego. 15-1, beat the Chiefs, lose first round of the playoffs.
Yep, that's what he did. He would get ultra conservative in the playoffs, and Nick could never win. Great Browns team, San Diego team, Kansas City teams.
Kansas City, yeah.
Yep. Nope. Can we spend the next 20 minutes crapping on Marty Schottenheimer? I'd enjoy that.
I don't know how much our viewers would enjoy that, but we could.
A little too much inside baseball, no pun intended, even though it's football, but whatever.
No, we don't usually talk a lot about business on the podcast, but we do have some pretty exciting news that connects Lodas with Cantor Fitzgerald. And so If you'll indulge me, I'd like to say, we have an exciting announcement just that we've officially partnered with Cantor Fitzgerald as their transfer agent. And so this is actually a huge milestone for us. And I want to give a big shout out to you, Jay, for being such a key part of making this happen. And we really couldn't be more excited to team up with Cantor. But I will say,
we could if they got us LA Dodgers tickets,
possibly,
and partnered with us. That would be more exciting.
That would be more exciting.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put you on the spot. But I'm gonna put you on the spot. And maybe just take a minute to say why Cantor chose to decide to move their funds to Lodas Transfer Agent.
Sure, and I'm happy to. Look, technology can always be scary, and it's disruptive, and all this AI stuff is disruptive and scary for a lot of people, and you have to embrace it or be passed up, the way I look at it. And I just think Lodas is a great example of someone, because of the people and the process and the technology capabilities today, that all of a sudden you guys can disrupt some businesses that seemed like they had some pretty big moats around them. And those businesses with those perceived moats had pricing power for a while, or so they thought, that would continue in perpetuity. And I think this is happening in every industry, in every segment of our industry of financial services. And I think Lodas will be a very important strategic partner on the technology. I can consider technology side to help us grow at the right costs, maintain our margins, but deliver a better overall investor, advisor, Cantor operational experience, all parties involved. And I think the firm has the ability to really grow and put a dent in that TA market. So I would say anyone else out there looking for cutting edge, best in class technology, which is the key to all this, definitely make sure that Lodas is in your consideration. But yeah, I think we're going to move close to 60, just under 60, mainly real estate bond over. I know you guys can support everything. We got some 40X stuff already going somewhere else right now. We'll look at that in the future, as you know. But 60 products isn't a small number. So really excited to be working closer with you guys. And I'll have to time up my KC or Overland Park trips during the fall period when we play when the Chargers play in KC. I've done that a couple of times already. No, you guys, but I've been to a few of those games.
Yeah, that would be great. We would love it. And again, just super appreciative of your partnership and everything that you've done. But and certainly also really appreciate you spending time with us today. It's great to be able to get to know you a little bit better. So thanks for being part of this.
My pleasure. I just want to know who's going to be on the 400th episode.
That's right. There you go.